Welcome to the Authentic Leaders Rising podcast, where high achieving entrepreneurs and leaders come to receive deep, insightful conversations and practical guidance to move from hustle to flow without sacrificing their authentic self and the results. I am your host and Chief Energy Officer, Tammy Cho, a former patient care leader turned international best-selling author, speaker, and face and body analysis expert. Get ready to lead your authenticity, lead your energy, and lead your impact. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for tuning in and spending your precious time with us. This is going to be a great episode. I brought Chris Williams, welcome to the podcast. And I'm really excited because she is full of heart, full of soul, and she brings us into business. And what perfect person to have on the podcast. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you, Tammy. I'm so excited to connect with you here. Thank you.
Yeah. So let me introduce Chris a little bit here. So Chris Williams is the owner of Shine Wellness, founder of Activate Abundance Academy, dedicated to empowering women holistic practitioners to create that soul-led, prosperous, heart-centered business without the hustle and the aggressive marketing and sales tactics that often feel out of alignment for many women. And she's just known for simplifying the process for growing that six-figure business using really practical step inside her soulful abundance system. And so welcome. Let's dive right in, Chris.
Yeah, I'm super excited to share today and to give your listeners lots of really cool tips that they can use inside their business.
Yeah, because it's one of those things, right? It's those small practical tips that often move the needle forward and
Mhm.
linked in with the heart. And so I'm curious, Chris, like I know you had your journey to doing what you're doing. Like what brought
Mhm.
you to be expressing this to your soul in this way?
Thank you for asking. Think it actually happened very organically. I didn't go into this work thinking I was going to be a business coach. I actually went into this work as a health coach and a life coach and a nutritional therapy practitioner. And so the way that kind of translated is I was creating my health coaching and my life coaching business. And when I was trying to get clients, I remember the first year after I'd graduated from my nutritional therapy training as a functional nutritionist, I had one client the entire year. And I'm like, oh my God, I have no idea how to build a business. I learned how to actually support a client, but I didn't really learn how to actually monetize my certification. And so I decided to go back to school to get a dual health and life coaching certification to see, because they said that they would also teach you how to build a business. It was like a 8 little module thing that didn't really teach me everything that I needed to know. And it also didn't feel an alignment for me because they were actually teaching a very outdated method of building and growing your business and attracting clients, which was, oh, just go book all of these 1 hour discovery sessions with whoever you can find and sell them into your 90-day program. And it felt like I was doing a bit of a bait and switch. It felt like I was reaching out to people saying, hey, I'm going to give you this free coaching session. But really, it was, how am I actually going to convince them that they need to work with me on this 1 hour session? And so I said, no, I'm not going to build my business that way. It didn't feel in alignment with me. And so I decided that I was going to do it differently. I was going to be able to really come from this energy of generosity and heart and service. And I decided that I was going to do things differently. And I began to do it differently. And my health coaching business started going crazy. It blew up. Like I ended up creating 6 figures in 6 months. And then we went into multiple 6 figures. And I had my colleagues reaching out to me saying, Chris, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, happy to share what I'm doing. Like I was connecting with people. I was collaborating with doctors and acupuncturists. I was serving and really creating that relationship first before I was inviting anybody to work with me, which is interesting because that is like one of the main ways that our market has changed in 2024 is to actually create relationships with fancy that actually create a relationship.
Wow.
It organically morphed into turning into business coaching. And as a wellness entrepreneur, and I've been in the wellness industry for over 30 years, starting as a yoga teacher, meditation teacher, as I was bringing up my children, to massage therapy to nutritional therapy and health coaching and life coaching. And so I just began to reverse engineer what it was that I was doing to put it into a system that I could then teach and let it be repeatable. And that's where the soulful abundance system came out of. I was like, okay, how can I make it simple, make it practical? Because I didn't want to just give people a whole bunch of theory. I wanted people to be actually see what are the real life examples of what they could do and how they could do this, and also give them the ability to follow what makes their heart sing, allow them to create the strategy that was working well for them. And of course, I was going to share what was working for me and how I built and grew my business. But there was always places in there to tap in to say, if this doesn't resonate, we can find another way. It's so important that what we are doing to build and grow our business comes from the heart and feels aligned. Otherwise, we won't do it and it won't be sustainable and it won't be profitable. And so that's like the foundation of everything, is that
Mhm.
it gets to be in alignment. You get to create a business that not only gives you freedom, but you also get to build a business and choose the strategies that feel supportive.
I really love that, Christina. It really sounds like it just came from your soul, like very much
Mhm,
organically, like you mentioned.
mhm.
Yeah. And you had to really change yourself to move into business coaching, even though you probably had to go through, I'm not really, that's not me.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Like I remember I did hire a business coach and I'm like, I am really confused. I thought I was serving women in this way, women that were in their late 30s, early 40s, going through menopause, having some hormonal issues, feeling overwhelmed. And yet I had all these people asking me to grow business. And my coach said, I don't see the problem. And I'm like, oh, hmm. Okay, so maybe we just follow the breadcrumbs here. And I'm really glad that I did, because as a health and a life coach, I was working one on one and also in groups with my clients. But now I get to actually support the health and life coaches and holistic practitioners to even support more women. So I felt like this was just a soulful switch where the universe was like, yes, and I want to use you to help others create even more of a ripple effect than I could do on my own.
Yeah, and I think that's, if anything, a really important thing we got to all learn is that we must evolve
Yeah.
and shift to the needs of what's happening out
Mhm.
there. And good thing building that connection piece on that nurturing piece is just naturally being human. And
Mhm.
I love that it fits really nicely together, doesn't it, Christy?
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, right? What are the biggest challenges you're seeing with
Mhm.
the clients that you're working with, like right now? What's happening out
Mhm.
there?
Yeah, the main thing that I see is, especially with new coaches or people, even people that have been in the industry for a couple years, they have just been taught a really outdated method of marketing and sales. And so, what ends up happening for many of us that are heart centered, soulful, conscious leaders who are here to make an impact and to create a different and a better world, it feels salesy. It feels slimy. It feels inauthentic. It feels out of alignment. And so we don't do it. That's the main problem, because if we don't have a strategy, which is both marketing and sales, whenever we're building and growing a business, we're actually focusing on three main things. One is our mindset. We get to claim who it is that we are as the empowered six figure, multiple six figure, seven figure, whatever it is that you want to create. We get to create that first, empower that first. But then the next steps are, how are we going to market in a way that feels good to us? And how are we going to invite people to work with us, which is sales, right? So
Yes.
we have to market, we have to sell, otherwise we don't have a business. And yet it just wasn't being taught. And so what I was hearing was, I don't know what to do to find a client. I don't know what to do to create clients. I don't know. I've invested all this money in getting my certification, and yet I don't really have a business. I feel like I have an expensive hobby. And or they were given false information,
Mm,
like, just create a course and you'll make money while you sleep. And I'm like, oh my God. No, no, and no. There is no such thing as passive income. Like, it all takes effort. It really does. It takes effort in building and growing our in business, whatever it is that we decide.
mhm.
So I found myself really just trying to give people real life answers on, okay, this is actually not really the way that we want to build and grow our business. this is actually where we want to start first, so that I could really just simplify the process for them. And I began to teach them my nurture method, which is how do we attract people, bring people into our ecosystem using what I like to call pull marketing, which isn't based on fear mongering or really digging into somebody's pain point, but client attraction, right? Inviting them in to your world because you have something that they're asking for. And I like to use the analogy of broccoli versus chocolate. As healers and practitioners and coaches, we tend to know what our clients need to solve their problem or to help them with their problem. And we tend to lead with broccoli because we're like, oh, they need gut health. Oh, they need liver cleanse. Oh, they need to manage their time better. Oh, they need to. But that's not what they're asking for. They're asking for, I just want to feel better, or I just want to have this different experience of life, or I just want to have this better relationship. And so, really inviting them, we needed to learn how to speak. I teach my clients how to speak the language of chocolate because it's the chocolate that brings the clients inside of our ecosystem in a way that feels good and natural for us. And then once they're in our ecosystem, then we want to nurture them. We don't want to try to just drag them across the finish line to just sell them the thing. And that's really what was missing. It's what I wasn't taught in nutrition school and health coach and life coach. And when I was building my massage therapy practice, like none of that was, what do you do? What do you say? How do you actually give people value? How do you actually nurture and connect with people before you invite them to work with you? It's like upside down because typically people were saying, hey, give them this free thing and sell them your thing and overcome the objections, right? Say
Mhm.
the right thing so that you can get them to buy. And what I found is that when I was not in the energy of how do I get somebody to buy? How do I close the deal? How do I get the client? Instead, when I was in the energy of how can I help this person create a win?
Mhm.
How can I give them value? How can I serve and connect with them first? Then that trust and connection was built so that the natural next step came very easily and intuitively to say, if you want support with this, I'm happy to share with you resources that might be a good fit
Mhm.
for
It's so true because we
you.
often go into business, we don't really know what's happening and we just
Mhm.
listen to what the coach tells us, and it's
Mhm.
not always in alignment, right? And I
Mhm.
just love how you're talking about this because we don't expect to get married right after we go
I
in the first
know,
place,
right?
right? Like,
Mhm.
so in business is so much alike, but oftentimes, like, because we're setting these boxes for different parts
Mhm.
of our life, we're not making these connections, and it makes so
Mhm.
much sense what you're saying, Chris.
Yeah.
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 And I'm curious, so what does that look like when someone switches? Obviously, it didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Often even myself started off learning
Yeah.
all these things. And so what kind of like results you see when someone moves and shifts into your way, and does it
Mhm.
how much longer can you expect and all these
Mhm.
things because there's that mix of wanting to be heart-centered and then needing to pay the bills.
Sure.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, how does that pan
Mhm.
out for someone switching over into this way that we feel
Mhm.
right about and
Yeah.
aligns to their goals?
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a good question because often when we're trying to build and grow a business, we do need to pay the bills. So, how do we stay in the energy of abundance versus, oh my God, I got to close the deal. I got to get a client because I got to pay the bills.
Mm,
So, that's where we talk about mindset and mindset, which my formula for creating abundance is the inner game, which is the thoughts and the feelings, our energy that we're in, plus the strategy always comes second because energy always trumps strategy,
that's
right?
right.
That's what creates abundance. That's what creates success. So when we're in the energy of I got to pay the got to pay the bills, got to get the client, got to close the deal, got to overcome the objection, you just that's not a abundant energy. That is actually scarcity. That is worry. That is fear. And so when you're trying to take action from that place, the strategy is never going to be as successful as when you're taking action from a place of who do I get to serve today? Who is coming into my world that I could give value to? Right. And when we do that, then the opportunities actually come in easier. New experiences, new people that all of a sudden started reaching out. People start popping into your email. People start recommending you to other people. And you're like, okay, this is really interesting. So there's like this reciprocal effect that I like to call playing the generosity game. The more we serve, and are generous, that energy always comes back to us, right? It might not come back to us in exactly the way that we gave it, not through the front door, but it always comes back. And so when we stay aligned in that, then it actually, again, more opportunities, more connection, more potential to talk with people, new people come into our ecosystem. It happens in a really beautiful way. And the strategy works better. The strategy begins to work better because it feels good, which means that we're going to be more consistent with it, which means we're going to implement it more often, right?
Mhm.
So it all just works.
Yeah, and that's what makes it sustainable, right? Like it's so
Mhm.
true. It's the same thing mindset without the energy behind it, without
Mhm.
really get into, okay, where am I showing up from? I'm saying the words right, but really the
Yeah.
energy is off, right?
Mhm.
That's so crucial. And I love that you
Mhm.
bring that up and teach that, right? Because we're going to attract scarcity if we're thinking
Mhm.
scarcity, and we all
Yep.
understand that. But then
Yeah.
sometimes people get stuck in and relating to that within themselves. Um,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I like to remind my, clients is that we've got human brains, right? So we're not going to be in the energy of abundance 100% of the time, and that's okay. Really, we want to be in the energy of abundance, in the energy that makes us feel good and aligned 51% of the time, because it's the most dominant thoughts and beliefs that create our energy. And it's our most dominant energy that is actually attracting what it is that we want into our field.
Yes,
Mhm.
it's true because 'cause we're not
Mhm.
perfect, and we
Mhm.
shouldn't aim to be perfect either in many ways, like,
Mhm.
it's more like an excellence, and
Yeah.
I love that, and so I'm curious, like, so, where does when someone does all these shifts and things like that, and
Mhm.
I've been hearing this recently about where do they find paying clients in this
Mhm.
economy that's so
Mhm.
changing on us so dramatically?
Mhm.
And I'm curious, how do you navigate that and creating that nurture system and building that relationship and align with
Mhm.
clients? Like, how do you
Mhm.
go about serving the people you serve?
Yeah, and I actually just did a training about this. So this is like so timely, where to find paying clients in any economy. That's the number one thing that my clients are asking. Okay, great. And how do I create clients? Where do I find clients?
Mhm.
And the truth is that when we start first with, what if clients were everywhere? What if there were so many clients that there's no way that you could actually serve as many people that needed your help? You start again, energy first, right?
Yes.
Then from that place, if clients are everywhere, if there's more people that you could possibly serve, then let's decide, who is your most ideal client and where are they hanging out? Like, really, like, we just get into the practical piece. Like,
Mhm.
what result are you helping somebody with, and where are they already hanging out? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Are they going to yoga classes? Do they go to a chiropractor? Like, where are they already hanging out? So we want to find that out first. And typically, they're locally, there's people that we have right now in our ecosystem that we really just need to help them self identify and raise their hand and say, hey, I want that thing. First, we uncover where they are, and then we can begin to just share value. So value can look like so many different things, right? And really, that becomes part of your marketing strategy, is how are you going to create visibility and share value with people so they get to have an experience of you, so that you can bring them into your ecosystem right before you invite them to buy. And that can be, again, you could do a local talk, you could do an online talk, you could do an online nurture event, you could be on a podcast. Hello, right here. You could go share something of value, like a freebie, a high value freebie that is going to give them wins and help them to create success. And that is the way that we actually first identify who they are, where they are, and then we want to have something that they want, that they're talking, again, chocolate, what's the chocolate they asked for, and we want to lead with value so that they can be like, oh, yeah, I want that thing. Or, oh, yeah, I want to go to that talk. Or, oh, I want to listen to that episode. So
Mhm.
it's not hard to find clients. It really isn't. And people are still buying. It's also not hard to build a six-figure business. You need to have a strategy, though. You need to have a strategy that aligns so that you know what to do for your marketing that feels good for you, that brings people into your ecosystem, what you want to do to then nurture them, and then what is your sales system? How are you actually inviting them to work with you on a consistent basis?
Yeah, I love that because it's again back to the mindset and how you're
Mhm.
going about it. Because if you
Yeah.
don't think there's clients out there, that's what you're gonna see.
Exactly.
Makes a lot of
Yes.
sense. Thank you.
Mhm. Mm.
It's speaking the obvious that maybe we learned along the way, but we're not actually applying.
Yeah.
And I think there's a piece here that I think I talked about a few times around the strategy that feels aligned. And so
Mhm.
sometimes I think people hear certain strategies, and
Mm.
I'm curious if you could lay out a range of strategies
Mhm.
that different people feel aligned to, because it opens
Yeah.
someone's mindset to see what that could be.
Absolutely. Yeah. For me personally, I love to teach. I love it. I homeschooled my boys. I adore giving value in teaching and sharing, helping people create epiphanies and ahas. One way is I actually love to do quick 20-minute audits. So if there is a practitioner that's looking for support and they're unsure how to get unstuck or what pieces might be missing, I love to just hop on a call and share and serve and help them fill those pieces. And it's totally in service. It's not an invitation to work with me. It's just sharing and serving and giving value. Again, that's
Mhm.
part of the nurture piece, right? Another thing that I love to do since I love to teach is I love doing workshops. And when I was a health coach, I did live workshops where I connected and collaborated with doctors and chiropractors and integrative doctors and acupuncturists. And so that worked really well for me because it allowed me to focus on a marketing strategy where we're leveraging other people's audiences. We're going to where our ideal clients are, and then our collaborator is getting us in front of their audience, right? So the chiropractor would send an email out to his clients and they would come and hear the talk. And then I would invite them to take the natural next step. I would serve and give value. So, that's one way. You can also do it online. So I love doing nurture events online as well, is sharing and giving value over a period of time, over a period of days. So people are getting consistent wins and actually building a relationship with me so they can actually see, do I even resonate with her? Do I even want to learn her system? So they're not just trying to be dragged across the finish line from just book a discovery session with me. And hear me say there's nothing wrong with discovery sessions. It's just that they need to come at the right place and time in the strategy. They should not be the first. They once you're posting on social media and then come book a call, they don't know enough about you yet. They don't have an experience of you yet. But it has to come at the end after there's already been an experience of no like trust with you. There's a lot of different ways to market. Social media is one where we get to create visibility there, right? Cast and connections and collaborations, where it's what I just talked about. Books, right? So you could write a book or you could be in an article on a magazine like back there, wherever it is. I wrote about how to scale your holistic business in Women Thrive. And so I'm also a featured contributor inside of that magazine. So I regularly write and share so people can get value, right? You can blog, you can be a guest blogger. Another thing that I love to do is to be a guest expert in somebody else's program. So, for example, I work with many entrepreneurs, many women that actually certify women and men in either being an intuitive coach, an intuitive life coach, a menopause coach. And so they don't do the business component of it. They're teaching them the skill, they're teaching them the craft. And then
Okay.
I can go in and teach
Sure.
a strategy session or a business building session there. And then they come into my community, and many of them decide at that point that they want to work with me. So there's so many ways that you can do this. It just depends on what lights you up. If you're a writer, then you probably want to do something more along the lines of being a contributor and blogging and being a guest blogger and submitting articles to the different places that you can submit, Mind Body Green and all these other, like there's a lot of different ways. If you like to teach like I do, then doing nurture events and workshops, whether they're in person or online, is a really great way. And it's really fun. I love it. Yeah.
That's it really comes back to really knowing what we like, and, like, sometimes and I find even myself, right? Like, I've forgotten that this is what I like because I remember this playing out quite a bit for me, and so
Yeah.
I love that you shared this range of things because it even just feeling into that, you can really feel, like, energy expanding as Chris
Mhm.
is talking, if you guys were paying attention to how maybe that felt in your body, and so
Yeah.
that's amazing, and I love what you're saying because I think that a lot of people do. They always hear invite people on a call, but and then people
Mhm.
are like selling on the call right off the bat.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
like what you're saying about like just having 20-minute check in, I
Mhm.
think you said audits, right?
Mhm.
To
Mhm.
just like literally, I'm here to just be a helpful human.
Yes. Oh my gosh, not a salesy weirdo. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like if we do have a few more minutes, I'd love to just share an analogy of that might help your listeners see how this whole thing fits together.
yeah,
Um,
sure.
I live in the South. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I like to think of a house with a front porch and a swing. So I want you to think of the offers that you have. Think of your offer suite, the ways that people can work with you, and that's your house. And then we've got our front porch. I like to have rocking chairs or a swing on mine. And then from there, we've got a beautiful pathway that leads to the sidewalk. But along that pathway, we've got little benches or chairs that people could stop at and sit at before they get to the porch, before they walk into the house. Our job is not to run out of our house and try to grab somebody off the sidewalk and drag them into the house. And that is what happens when you are trying to sell on that first call. You are coming out of your house and you're like, come work with me. And then you are in your head about how do I overcome their objections and all of that, which is what do I say? How do I do the thing? How do I say the right thing? What if I say the wrong thing? And then you're all in your head. Instead, what we want to do is there are going to be people that are walking along that sidewalk to the pathway with the benches. Our job is only to invite them to come have a seat on that first bench. Hi, would you be interested in? Would you like to have support? Would you like this free experience? Would you like to come to this talk? Your benches are where you're giving value. So, step one is to help your people find you and self identify and say, yes, I would love to come sit at that bench. And we move them from bench to bench. That's nurturing, that's connecting, that's supporting, that's asking people how they are, asking them if that workshop was a good fit for them. How did they like it? Was there something else that they might have needed? All of this happens before we invite them to come sit up on the front porch. Notice we're not dragging them into the house still. If they go through our benches, which is if they are nurtured, then they are the ones that are actually saying, you know what, I think I'd like to have a conversation with you about how you could help me. Then we invite them on the front porch and we're like, okay, I would love to support you. Tell me what it is that you're looking for. Can we just have a cup of tea or something and have a real conversation about what are you looking for? What would you like? What's working? What's not working? So that we can determine, I can help you make an empowered choice about whether or not I even have something in my house that's going to help you. So we are there to ask questions and then to say, great, yes, I can help you. Here's some ways that I could support you. Or if it's no, I can't help you, then we refer them to somebody else. But by that time, they are already pre qualified. So the need to have a long 1 hour discovery session where you're trying to convince or persuade somebody to with you becomes irrelevant. Instead, we get to have a conversation that is heart to heart. They already have an experience of you. There's already no like trust with you. They've probably already heard about the different ways that they could work with you.
Mhm.
And then they're actually reaching out and or you're inviting them to say, hey, if you want my support, happy to have a call around exploring what that might look like for you, but it's
Mhm.
at the right time, right? And so this idea of needing to be salesy or icky or slimy just ends up falling away. And so you're not in your head anymore. Instead, you truly are in service and you're
Mhm.
just create offering what you think is going to be the best fit for them. And they can say no, and that's fine. Like that, our job on that call is not to convince. Our job on that call is to see what fits for them. And if I'm a yes, great. And if I'm a no for me, great. Tell me what it is that you want. Let me help you go get that.
Mm.
How much different would our businesses run if we could do that for people?
We be friends with our clients that I love. I'm friends with most of
Mhm.
my clients, and I read something where you do the soulful abundance system, and I'm
Mhm.
feeling like this is
Yes.
the system.
Mhm.
I'm curious, like Chris, how would you define authentic leader who's
Mm.
showing up in your program? How would you define authentic leader? Someone leading themselves authentically through your
Mhm.
program. Just
Yeah.
curious, how would you describe that?
Yeah, I think that for me, authentic leaders are people that first claim their value and their worthiness and trust and tap into that place that, look, we're here to make an impact in the world. Otherwise, we wouldn't be a leader, right? As authentic leaders, we get to serve from what feels most aligned for us. Authentically is just being who it is that we are and helping offer at the right time. And that really is actually really freeing because when we're in our own authentic leadership, we get to tap into our intuition. We get to feel when we're out of alignment and when we're in alignment. We get to then build a business in a way that serves us rather than trying to build a business from a place of hustle or strategy where we don't implement the strategy because it doesn't feel aligned and then we don't make the money in our business. And so we don't really have a business, which means we're not actually impacting others. We get to claim what works for us. We get to come to this is who I'm here for. This is who I'm here to serve. And I also get to do this and have an amazing business at the same time.
Mm. Yeah, that it lands so well for me, and I'm sure people are attracted to me. This is landing for them as well.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
beautiful. Thank you, Chris, for
Yeah.
sharing this. And I'm curious if you had any last words you wanted to leave with audience today, like a big secret tip or something that just your heart is called to share.
Mhm.
What would that be?
Yeah. I have to say that I think the secret tip is don't give up. Don't give up. Find what resonates with you. There are a lot of strategies out there. They will all work if you align with them, right? Again, if somebody wants to use a strategy that I don't use, I'm going to give them to somebody to learn something different. So, for example, I don't teach how to do 3-day in person events where you're selling from a stage. I don't do that in my business, so I don't teach that. But if that's what you want to learn, go find somebody who does that well that you want to learn from in a way, right? So that's really what I would say is don't give up. Keep taking a look at how do you want to build and grow your business? Go find somebody that you resonate with. Go find somebody that does it well that you can then learn from. And just again, if you give up, you're never going to build and grow your business. But it doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hustly. It doesn't have to be based. It really can be soulful and heart centered.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for leaving that with everyone because that's that place, right? When we give up, like don't give up really on ourselves at the end of the day. Don't give up
Yes.
on discovering what is it that feels good and aligned to you and allowing yourself space to tweak it,
Yes.
to make it yours. Because the
Yes.
whole thing with thought leadership is
Yes.
developing what's you, being creative and being you.
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
yeah, I love that. It's so
Yeah.
and sometimes, just like you said, Chris, it's finding someone that does it well, but even
Mhm.
then, right? You have to look one way, even that.
No. Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you were also talking about tweaking things. Like we're all individual. And when we are in our authentic leadership, we also allow ourselves to try things on, get feedback, and decide whether or not we want to keep it or not. And then we try something else and we get feedback and we decide how that works for us. So we get to choose that. And when we're working with somebody, we can also follow the parts that resonate and let go of the pieces that don't. That's okay too.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And Chris, if someone wants to get a hold of you to have a 20-minute audit or just a
I
chat, whatever
do.
that looks like, yeah, please share.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Shine Abundance Now is my website. So, you can certainly go there and you can either just click on book a call or you can just reach out directly to me via Facebook and just send me a message, say 6-figure audit. And that way I'll know that's what you're looking for. And you will get me. You won't get a bot. You won't get a member of my team. You'll actually get me. I am the real person responding to the messages and the emails as well.
Beautiful.
And you can also get the download, which is the business basics checklist for consistent clients and 10 to 30K month. There is a link inside of that PDF that you can also book a call with me around that too. Yeah.
Perfect. And I'll make sure
Mhm.
to include all of that at the bottom of the show notes. Yeah, thank you so much for Chris for coming by and sharing your gifts with us. Like I feel like expanded from just your energy of speaking about these things in your energy essence. And I really appreciate you. And
Mm,
I hope that this has landed somewhere with the listeners here today. And like I hope that if you feel called, definitely reach out to Chris because I have to say I don't really see a lot of people that speak the way and bring it like Chris does in this authentic
mm.
way. And so I really wanted to have her here. So I hope
Thank
you can feel
you.
that too.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That really makes my heart smile because that is the intention. Yeah, and I promise I won't try to sell you on a call if I'm your client. I promise.
Beautiful. Thank you so much once again, Chris,
Mhm.
and I'll look forward to chatting offline with you here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you so much for listening to the Authentic Leaders Rising podcast. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode. And leave us a review so others can find the life-changing content that we're sharing here. We are starting our movement on our way to #1, and we need your help to get there. If you'd like to connect with other high-achieving entrepreneurs and leaders who are also on their authentic, energetic leadership journey, join our free Facebook community, Energetically Aligned Leaders. Go to pathtotheheart.com/links to join the Facebook group, book your personalized face analysis experience, or to access our resources.